But how did the state's biggest attractions deal with the inevitable hurricane? Let's connect the dots. Unfortunately, the prime time for many to head to Disney World or Universal Studios is the heart of hurricane season. So you can bet these parks have a plan. If the National Hurricane Center issues a hurricane warning for the Orlando area within 7 days of your trip, both Disney and Universal will allow you to cancel or reschedule without any fines or fees. But you have to have booked your vacation directly through them. And when it comes to flights, once a warning is issued, most airlines will waive fees if you want to cancel or reschedule. While Orlando is fairly well inland, the parks have been forced to close because of storms before. The last time was in 2017 when Hurricane Irma shut down Disney World for 2 days. So, if you do plan a trip to the happiest place on Earth during hurricane season, you might want to invest in some travel insurance.